The whole thing with the Megan Fox comment. The whole internet is going crazy, I feel like, over this. Jimmy gets hooked on that. I personally felt like AD was flirting with Jimmy.
He is so weird and rude.
When I heard that, I was just, I'm cringing there.
I feel like he strung her along a little bit.
She said you're gonna need an EpiPen to open your airways. I mean, he didn't like the fact that she had a kid. And
that's also another red flag. I'm like, is this guy, like, okay?
Why do you have to say your big white teeth? Yeah. She has that past trauma and all that stuff. She needs to go to therapy. 50/50 podcast. Hi everybody, I'm Yas.
And I'm Yel.
And welcome back to the 50/50 podcast.
Yes, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We have new episodes out every single Wednesday, so come back and check us out every Wednesday, and also just subscribe so you don't miss any episode.
So today, I think we should just go straight into it.
Yeah, we're going to get straight into it today because there's a lot to talk about. We're going to talk all about Love is Blind.
Yep, season 6, Love is Blind. It is good so far.
Really good so far. It just came out on Valentine's Day, actually, so we're going to be recapping the episodes that are already out that were episodes 1 through 6. That's what we'll be recapping today. And today, another chunk of episodes launch.
Yes.
So it's just going to be another 3 episodes this time because it's 7 through 9, I guess, right? We'll be recapping those next week. So come back and check us out because we'll be recapping every week until, I guess the reunion, whenever we have that.
Yep. And then we'll, of course, recap the reunion as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's start off first of all, in the pods, right?
Yeah.
You want to go ahead?
Yeah. So this season, if you guys haven't watched Love is Blind, you need to watch it. But, just to kind of share a little bit, it's a process of finding your perfect match, without ever seeing them. So their testing is Love Blind. That's why it's called Love is Blind and all that. And basically they have a section when they're in the pods and they're getting to know each other, behind a wall so they can never see each other. And then they end up, whether they match or not, and then they end up meeting in person if they match, but it's for marriage.
Not just match. If the man, because it's always been like this, if the man proposes to the woman, then they get to see each other.
Yeah, exactly. So they have to be engaged to see each other.
Yes.
So it's all about the final product is getting married. And at the end of the show, somebody will get married, and hopefully multiple couples. That's usually how it is. Multiple couples will get married. Last
season, only I think one couple ended up getting married out of all of them. And last season, I personally didn't enjoy it as much. It was good, but there was no really getting to know the characters too much.
Yeah.
And I do say characters because I don't consider them, whatever they're being shown is not who they actually are, I don't think, in real life. So that's why I'm just going to say characters.
Yeah. I mean, they all play a role in it, so they are kind of like characters to us. But yeah, last season, a lot of people had that same opinion about it, that it was kind of
a little bland.
Whatever. I enjoyed it, but, I think there's been more interesting seasons, I think, for sure. The first one that we watched, season 4, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that one was really, there was a lot of drama in that one. So it was had you on your toes most of the season. But yeah. But going into this one, season 6. So it just started, whole new batch of people. And very interesting people, actually.
Very interesting.
A lot of things going on. There's one lady, we talked about, if you saw our last week's episode, we gave a little preview, and she actually has a child. And we didn't know until, now the episodes, that actually that child is 10 years old, which makes a difference too. I mean, having a child is, it's always going to be, whether they're little or big, whatever, it's always going to bring some type of new dynamic to a relationship. But the fact that her child's 10 was kind of shocking to me. I didn't know she was that big.
Yeah, I thought it was, when they said she had a child, I thought she meant she had a baby. That's what I thought. But now that, it does change things up a little bit. Yeah. So, in the pods, they start showing different people coming in.
Yeah.
So one of those people is this guy named Matt.
Yeah. Matt.
Matthew, I think he likes to go by, or what, his name is Matthew.
Yeah.
So
they call him Matt too, so it's just Matthew or Matt, I guess is,
whatever his name is, Matt, some form of Matthew. Yeah. He was really, really strange. I think he's just a walking red flag. He is so weird. He was leaving. They were showing him, just walking out on people.
Yeah, while they were talking.
Exactly. They were still talking, and he's just I guess he got bored of the conversation, or I don't know. He never really explained what his situation was that he just decided to walk out on people.
Yeah, I feel like they never really dove into his character, or he didn't want to, whatever, but he was extremely weird. From the second I saw him, I was just wow, or not even saw him. From the second I saw how he acted, I was he is so weird and rude, in my opinion. Also.
Really rude, really weird, and just his whole persona, how he was just I don't know, the vibes that he was giving off was weird vibes for me. It was so strange.
Yeah, he was really weird.
But then during the pods, he ends up clicking with AD.
Yeah, and that's the part where he kind of flipped because he started clicking with this woman named AD, and she like I guess she brought out his like nice side because he started kind of also to seem a little bit caring, and I was like, wait, what is this?
And like opening up and acting more
normal.
Yeah.
I was shocked about that,
Yeah.
honestly, that he was opening up to AD. And that she was able to like kind of break down his walls.
Well, it was just weird how he's like, well, I have a list of I have a paper here with me.
Yeah.
He would say, so pick your number and then I'll give you a question.
Yeah.
And so they would say like number 4. And then he was like, a lot of people have already asked that. Pick another one.
Yeah. And like, how would they know that? He was like,
Yeah.
be more original. And I was like, well, how would they know what other people picked?
Exactly.
Like,
and then the girl was like, well, what about you? Whatever the
Yeah.
question was. And she flipped it on him. And he's like, well, I wasn't expecting to answer it. So I don't know.
Yeah, he's like, ask me another question because these questions are only for you to answer, not for me to be asked back.
Yeah.
Like, very rude. When you're getting to know somebody, you don't act that way. Actually,
No.
you shouldn't act like that in general, but...
Especially, first impressions.
Yeah.
And they can't even see you to be like, oh, I'm attracted to him or anything. This is literally about your personality and that's it, getting to know you.
Yeah.
From an inside outside kind of thing,
Yeah.
From the inside first. So that was that. And then Jessica,
Yeah.
which we were talking about in the beginning, Jessica decides to hold back,
Yeah, that
her
was surprising
child.
to me.
which I didn't understand the reason for that.
Yeah, she decided, because people were asking her too, like, oh, when are you going to bring up your child? Like, what's your kind of like plan or thoughts on that? She's like, oh, well, I like people to get to know me first, and then I share that I have a child. Which, you know what, everybody to each their own. Like, you can pick however you want to do things, however that matters to you. But I personally think when somebody's getting to know you, in the process of getting to know you, they should know that you have a child because that is part of you. That's like, that's a huge part of you, actually, because when you're a mother or father, whatever, that's like your life is different because you have a child. And not necessarily in a bad way, but just like, wouldn't you want people to know so then they like can understand you more? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, if you have a child, if they're like, I want them to get to know me, getting to know me is getting to know that I have a child because the first thing in my life is my kid.
Yeah.
And so, and I'm sure that's in her case too, but for some reason, she decided that she was going to hold that information back. And, throughout the rest of it, you're going to see how that kind of ultimately backfires on her.
Yeah,
I feel like
causes a little bit of trouble.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, and we'll get into that like shortly because we're about to get into all that like drama and everything.
Yeah.
But
right now we're just going through like
the pods
situation. Yeah.
And also, if you guys see us, we're referencing our little notepads because a lot happened. It was 6 episodes. This first like batch of episodes that came out, so I had to write down some notes so I can like keep track of everything. I was like, there were certain things I didn't want to forget.
And just put it in chronological order, kind of. So that's why I have my little notebook here with me.
Same. So actually, you know what? Let's just dive into Jimmy and Jessica right now because. Okay, so Jessica is the one that has a child, 10-year-old child, a girl, by the way. And the person that she matches with, and really, if I remember correctly, the only person that we see that she matches with is this guy named Jimmy.
Yeah.
Which is a guy, I think 1 year younger than her. She's like 28, he's 27, according to what it says there. So like pretty much they're the same age. And they're getting to know each other and everything. It seems like she really likes him. And it seems like he really likes her too. Like they're each other's like strongest connection. That's what it seems like. And then she drops the bomb that she has a child.
Yeah, and he is completely and totally shocked. You can just tell. His face changes, his demeanor changes.
Yeah.
Everything changes about him, and she's just like, are you still there? Like,
yeah.
And he's like, yeah. He's like, I'm just processing things. So he's completely shocked, which is understandable because I'm not sure what day it is that they're on already in the pods, but it wasn't day 1 or day 2, I don't think.
No, it was already a little bit advanced because they had already talked a lot. They showed us already a lot of different like dates that they had and everything. And so it wasn't like their first meeting or anything like that.
And he's just completely shocked.
Yeah.
And, some people don't mind being in a relationship with people that have kids and other people do. And it's ultimately,
it's your choice,
it's the person. Yeah, it's your choice for both parties. It's your choice if you want to be in a relationship like that or whatever.
Yeah.
So he's completely shocked, and then he goes into. They show another date.
Yeah.
That he goes with his other connection, which is Chelsea. Who she decides to drop another major thing for him. It felt like that she was previously married.
Yeah, previously married and for like 5 years, I think she said, and then got a divorce.
When she was like 18.
Yeah, like very young. And he kind of just like broke down.
He did. He broke down, and I think that's
Yeah, I think he really broke down because of like just the fact
the
initial news and then the second news. I guess it was just like a lot for one day, but honestly, her being previously married, I don't think that really, like in the long run later on, we see, I don't think that really affected him or that he cared about that too much because, I mean, nothing came out of that relationship. They didn't have kids or anything. So it's just, I know it's a marriage, but it's just another relationship really, like, you know, so I don't think he really cared. But about having the child, even though he said, I think he did say, he's like, oh no, it doesn't bother me. I just need to like think about it a little bit. You could tell it really bothered him.
You could tell it bothered him, and coming into all the other dates with her, it affected him a lot.
Yeah, and their relationship changed. Like once after she told him that, the way he acted with her just changed completely because, of course, he's thinking about that. And like we were saying, you know, everybody. I mean, if you have a child and you're looking for a second chance at love, like everybody deserves to be loved, of course, but not everybody's willing to go into a relationship. He's so young too. Being 27, you're young still.
Especially being a man and being 27, because you know they say that men are like 5 years behind a woman kind of thing,
they
and
mature
their
slower.
maturity.
Going into a relationship with somebody who has a child just means that you also, it's like you have a child now too, and maybe he really is just not ready for that. And I mean, that's okay. That's okay for him not to be ready. I know it seems like a little bit like mean almost, but it's not. Like
it's not mean, and it's actually better for her.
Yeah,
because
exactly what I was thinking.
Why would you want to be with someone or force you know, someone to be with you when they don't want to be involved with someone that has a kid?
Exactly.
That's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah. Like I noticed that she liked him. I know that he liked her too, but when she told him the news and how he reacted, even for her sake, I was like, he's not the one for you.
Yeah.
He's not the one for you because you need somebody who is not going to care that you have a child and hopefully even be kind of even maybe happy. Like, oh, okay, like happy to be a stepdad and everything because they really need to step into that role. You can't just be here with somebody and like pretend like your daughter doesn't exist because she exists.
Exactly.
And she's 10 years old and she's, you know, that would be so unfair for her too to be in a house where like her mom's new husband doesn't even like pay attention to her or like treat her as like just another piece of furniture. Like no, like she also deserves, you know, something else. She deserves better. So anyways, I just thought that would like really change their relationship, and a lot of drama comes out of that because he ends up like you were saying about his other connection, Chelsea.
Yeah.
He got that bad news from her kind of, but he ends up ultimately starting to like her more. So he says,
but it's a lot there because then, you know, Chelsea, she has her other connection that is this guy named Trevor.
Yeah.
Who is so kind to her, so sweet to her.
So sweet.
He is so loving towards her. He, from the initial point, he starts always, you know, showing her affection through his words, and just, you know, giving her that confirmation that she needs, which is foreshadowing for something else.
Yeah.
And, you know, she seems so happy with him. You know, she gives him a gift. They exchange gifts. He says that his dog is named Chelsea, and she says her dog or her turtle or
her cat or something.
Some kind of a pet that she has is named Trevor.
Which I don't know if she was joking or if that was real. I couldn't tell if that was like sarcastic or what.
Yeah,
but
I'm not
that's
sure.
crazy if that's true.
But, you know, he ends up gifting her like the collar. He's like, you know, there's all these signs and everything that has been pointing me towards you. So I feel like that's so sweet. He was always choosing her.
Yeah.
That was his number one. Chelsea was number one for him.
Yeah, he didn't have any other connections that we saw that like lasted. I think he did date like some other people, but he didn't like have any other lasting connection. Like he was all for Chelsea. Like he like really liked her. And honestly, in the beginning, I didn't think Jimmy really liked Chelsea that much.
I didn't think so either. I thought Chelsea liked him more than he liked her.
Exactly.
I mean, she didn't give him a gift or anything until a little bit later on also.
Yeah.
And you also see that she gives Jimmy a gift and Jimmy's like, well, I'm not giving anyone a gift.
Yeah. Like he started off being kind of like, he seemed like a nice guy, and he is a nice guy, I guess, in the end. But I don't know, he started being like, kind of, I think a little like rude in my opinion. Like even with Chelsea and with Jessica too, like things were getting a little weird.
I don't see him as a nice guy at all.
Yeah. No, not anymore. Like once we get to like out of the pods too and everything.
I don't see him as a nice guy at all. And so that started for me some red flags on him because he's like, well, I'm not giving a gift to anyone. He waited till the last minute also to, you know, choose who he wants to be with and
Yeah.
all that.
We can kind of like, get into that a little bit about just like Jimmy and Jessica and their whole situation, because if you're, if you like Love is Blind and everything, if you're seen on Instagram, like there's a lot of like this like one specific clip when Jimmy actually breaks up with Jessica. He like finally like says like, you know what?
Hold on one second
Yeah.
before we get to the breakup.
Yeah, what?
There's another major thing that I can't believe we almost forgot to say.
What?
And I think altered Jimmy's perspective on Chelsea.
Oh, yes.
They're, in their date, right?
Yeah.
Still in the pods. And she's like, oh, so, and this is another thing actually that I wanted to touch on is
Yeah,
a
me
lot
too.
of conversation is on how many Instagram followers they have, which is so weird. Because remember, this is Love is Blind. So it's
Right.
about not about blind. It's about like not caring about the exterior, not
Right.
caring about the followers, not caring about all that stuff. It's caring about
It's just getting to know each other like
from the inside.
from the inside, like your soul, like, like
your personality.
Your personality, yeah.
Do you actually click on a deeper level? That's what they're
Right.
not so superficial.
Yeah. And a lot of people this season were asking about how you look like and trying to get to know what the other person's race is and all that,
Exactly.
which like kind of defeats the purpose of the like experiment, like they call it too.
Right. So there was so much talk about race, so much talk about looks, so much
Yeah.
talk about Instagram followers, so much talk about all that stuff, which defeats the purpose. Like you said, it just
Yeah.
defeats the purpose.
And
And
something new of this season, because we haven't seen that in the previous season. I feel
Yeah.
like they stuck pretty good to like probably the rules that they tell them, like don't ask each other how you look, because like hello, and like that. I mean, that's, you don't have to see them if they tell you certain things, like, oh, like I have dark hair, you're like, oh, I like people with dark hair, like, it's like
yeah, it's the whole purpose. And so poor Chelsea, she ends up saying, and the whole internet is going crazy, I
Yeah.
feel like, over this. She's like, people say I look like Megan Fox.
yeah,
She says, but I don't see it.
yeah,
That's I'm gonna give her that. She also said that, but I don't see it. She's like, I think it's because of my dark hair and my blue eyes. I think she
blue
said.
eyes, yeah,
Jimmy
yeah,
gets hooked on that.
yep. It's like, just like I've seen all these memes out there. They're like, he changed his mind when she said she looks like Megan Fox. And let's just, nothing wrong. I mean, everybody can look different, but she does not look like Megan Fox.
Yeah.
And if you've seen the show, you know this. She does not look like Megan Fox, and that's okay. She doesn't have to look like Megan Fox. But when she said that, I was just like, I'm like, why are you saying that? Why are you going and saying that you look like somebody that you don't look like?
I mean, to her defense,
Yeah.
because that's what everyone is saying. She said, but I don't see it. But he didn't even hear that part.
No, he didn't hear
And
that part anymore.
when I heard that, I was just, I'm like, I'm cringing there.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm like, why? Like, why? I feel like that defeats also the purpose of this. Like, why do you have to say that? Why do you
Yeah.
just let him guess? And you're just putting yourself, I feel like, in a box that you look like this person when you know
Yeah.
why. Why are you putting yourself like that?
Well, you shouldn't do that, and you don't know, like, even if she really thought that she looked like Megan Fox, that's all opinion based, so you don't know if
Yeah.
somebody else is going to see you that way. And just let it be a surprise. Let it be a surprise, and don't put these, like, kind of expectations, and not even about higher look expectations, just expectations, like,
In general.
of what you look like. Mm-hmm. Because that can open up for disappointment.
Yeah, and that can open up for so much disappointment.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as she said I look like Megan Fox, he didn't hear the rest.
Yeah.
And he was just like, oh my God. And you see him, he gets up from his like seat and he starts
Yeah.
like walking around. He's like, oh my gosh, like she's like Megan Fox. Like
Yeah.
you just see him change. And he's like, I feel like that changed everything because he
Yeah.
got that bad news from Jessica. Of course, the divorce from Chelsea.
Yeah.
And then Chelsea later on in another date, she's like, I look like Megan Fox.
Yeah.
He's like, well, that's it. I'm done.
Yeah, yeah. Now all of a sudden he's more interested in Chelsea. That's what it seems like.
Yeah.
To us.
And so all of a sudden he loves Chelsea.
Yeah.
But he also said, he's like, I'm not saying love to anyone until I propose to them.
Yeah. One thing that I didn't like also about Jimmy, that I really didn't like about him, was that, you're in this experiment and all that you have is your, what you verbalize.
Right.
They can't see your body language. They can't, like, there's so many things, like, you can't tell unless they say it. And that's the whole point of this. Like, that's what you're supposed to, all your dates are talking because, you're getting to know each other. And he said to both of his connections, Chelsea and Jessica, that he was not going to share how he feels with them.
Yeah,
Like, he's
that's
like,
ridiculous.
I'm not gonna, he's like, I don't feel comfortable. I'm not gonna share. I'm not gonna tell you how I feel, because what if we don't end up getting engaged and then it doesn't make sense and blah, whatever. But the other women, like Jessica especially, she's telling him how much she likes him. She's telling him how she's envisioning like their future together, like him being her husband and all these things. And she just wants something in return. and he will not give it to her. He will not share how he feels at all. Like he says things like, "Oh, I imagine us having a house together." Like he says those things, but he doesn't say like, "I like you too," or "You make me feel this way." Whatever kind of how she says, "You like I feel like electricity when I'm around you." She's like, "I feel like our love is like electric and all this," and he cannot do that at all, which also should have been a red flag.
That's a big red flag.
Yeah, because like I was saying, I understand if you're a person who you don't show your emotions too much. Okay, out in the real world, if you're meeting each other, she can maybe tell your love through your actions or something like that. But you are there just talking through a wall. If you don't verbally say it, how is anybody going to know?
Right.
How's anybody know how you feel? They can't even see what face you're making. Like if she says something like funny and he's like, they don't know unless like you give something back.
They're like, I'm smiling right now. They have to like kind of verbalize everything that's happening. Like,
yeah, like what you said made me so happy. I can't stop smiling or something like that. You have
Yes.
to say it, otherwise the person's not gonna know. And I just feel like that was really, like he had a bad attitude about it. That's how I felt.
He did. He had a really bad attitude.
Yeah,
He's just weird.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like he's also just, I don't know how I feel about Jimmy too much.
yeah, me neither. We're gonna get into more like we were saying about him, but also, so what I was saying too, before we sidetrack, which is good because that was important to say about this whole thing with Chelsea and everything. But there's like this like kind of, I guess, a viral moment of like Love Is Blind where he finally breaks up with Jessica because he ultimately decides to go with Chelsea. He decides to propose to Chelsea, and when he breaks up with Jessica, you know, she was very pissed. She was very angry.
She was so mad.
Which I can understand. I mean, everybody takes breakups differently. So, but I think she was especially, and I don't know what you think about this, but I think she was especially angry and kind of like, she was ready to like go at him because, you know, the day prior, she had heard from some of the other girls.
I think it was, she heard from Laura.
From Laura. Yeah, that's what it was. From Laura, that basically, she didn't know exactly what happened, but she knew that like Jimmy and Chelsea's date went well, meaning he didn't break things off with her.
Yeah,
So
Laura told her.
Yeah,
Laura told her something like, "He's not the man for you." Something like that was.
Yeah, she was like, "Just trust me on this," but she's like, "You need to let him go."
Yeah.
Like basically, stop pursuing him. Like it's not gonna go anywhere. And so she's already crying and everything. And I feel like had the girls not told her anything, which I mean that's how this show is. Like that's fine. But had the girls not told her anything, I think that would probably have been her reaction when Jimmy told her. Like she probably would have cried and everything because she was sad. But since she already knew what was coming, when they go into their date, she is just like, you know, ready to like pounce. I feel like she comes in there with attitude and he's like, "Oh, how are you?" She's like, I don't know, you tell me. Like how are things going? And that just opens the door for how everything went like downhill from there.
Yeah.
And yeah, so then basically she's pissed, which I understand, because I do feel like, and this is my opinion, I feel like he strung her along a little bit because I could tell from the moment that she told him that she had a child that Jimmy didn't like it anymore. He was like, he's not ready to do that. Totally understandable. But I just feel like he should have been a little bit more honest with her from the beginning. And maybe prior to like the very end, he should have maybe told her, "You know what? I don't know how I feel about it. Like, I don't think that's something that I want." I feel like if he would have just said something like that, Jessica could have kept her options open maybe and had maybe some more dates with another guy or somebody who is willing to accept that she has a child, you know, and not put like all her eggs in one basket with Jimmy. But anyway, so when he tells Jessica that he no longer wants to be with her, she is loses it and she gets pissed and everything, and she starts telling him, which I think is a little cringy, but she's like, when you see me, she's like, "You're gonna choke." She's like, "You're gonna die because of like basically how good I look. Like you're gonna, you know."
She said you're gonna need an EpiPen.
Yeah. She's like,
to open your airways.
That's what she said, which is funny, but also I'm like,
no, that's so cringy to me.
That's so cringy.
That's so cringy. That's like, they're just, the arrogance that she had,
yeah,
you know, and everything looks as opinion based, right?
Yeah.
Looks as so opinion based. So for her to say that, it's just the whole thing with the Megan Fox comment.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing also, like, and her saying you're going to choke, you're going to regret it.
Yeah.
You are, whatever she said, everything about her looks. That's really what she said.
Yeah. And it just, I feel like no matter how, you know, beautiful you are, pretty, handsome, whatever, when you start saying, like, I feel like saying how beautiful you are in this, I feel like it just brings you down. Like,
Yes.
if you're a 10 and you talk like that, you go down to like a 4 or a 5.
4 or 5. You go down to a 1 or a 0 to me.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you start saying how gorgeous, how this, I see you so ugly.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, that's really all that you care about?
Yeah.
That's disgusting, honestly.
It just was really cringy. And also the part that I didn't like about the second part of it is like, I get that she did that because I feel like she was like, that made her feel better about herself, I guess, like letting him know that he missed out on so much. But also just from her side, do you really want to be with somebody just because of your looks? Like, because that's kind of, I feel like what she was saying. She's like, oh, like if only you would have like seen me, then you would have like loved me. Well,
exactly.
do you want him to like love you only because of your looks? Like, no, he should have been. That's what I'm like. He's not the one for you. Like, she should just know he's not the one for her.
And the looks isn't everything right now because she has a kid.
She has a kid, and anybody, honestly, even if you don't have a kid, if somebody doesn't like you and then they see you and suddenly they start liking you,
That's a red flag.
that's a red flag, because that just means that they're just like obsessed with like the outward physical appearance, whatever about it. And like everybody says, those things fade and those things change.
Yeah, let's see until when she's 60, 70, 80, then what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Even 40s, people start changing.
Yeah, and if he is only into that part of her, then I feel like that's not even a good relationship, because like he should like her for her, however she is, her mind, her, everything. And then the physical, that's a plus, or,
Right,
whatever.
that would be a plus.
Yeah.
But her saying that, I think that just made her look so bad.
Yeah.
I think it put her in a bad light. I think it didn't maybe show who she really is, because she could have shown herself in a better light, I think, than like that.
Yeah, and she could have, because we know that in all these Love is Blind, they end up all meeting up at one point.
Yeah.
So, everybody who was in the pods and everything, so people who didn't end up getting a couple, or people who ended up, getting engaged or somebody, they all meet up. So she knows that at one point they're going to see each other. And I feel like if it would have been better for her, she would have just been like, say whatever she have to say, doesn't have to talk about her appearance. And then when he sees her, if she feels that confident about her looks, let him see you and then be like, damn, like I didn't know she was like good looking or whatever, like let that happen that way.
If he thinks that.
If he even thinks that, right? We don't know. Just let it be like play out that way. But even still, I still stand with what I'm saying. Like, even if he were to see her, if she were to mention her appearance and he sees her later and is like, oh my God, like, you know what? And now that I see you, like, let's have a second chance at this. To me, that'd be like, hell no. Because obviously you don't really like me.
Yeah.
If you didn't
he
like me when we were talking.
He didn't like the fact that she had a kid. And that for me, just right there, that's it. It's over. Yeah. I would have never pursued him anymore.
Yeah.
And that's also, she also said like he ruined the experiment for her.
Yeah.
Which I can agree and disagree, because I agree that he strung her along.
Yeah.
I completely agree about that.
Yeah.
But I also think that she was so obsessed with winning him.
Yeah.
Because that is also the problem. That's the same thing that happened with Jimmy.
Yeah.
Jimmy saw that Chelsea had another interest, which is Trevor. And so he was like, well, now he's like competitive against Trevor, because now the one that he originally liked, Jessica, now has a kid, which he doesn't like that. So now it's like, who's going to win between both of us for Chelsea?
Yeah.
And I feel like Jessica felt the same way over Jimmy. It's between Chelsea and me. We have to win. One of us has to win over Jimmy.
Yeah, which I notice a lot even with the other seasons, that like once they know that the person they like may have another connection, it becomes like a competition.
Yeah.
And I feel like, is that even good to, like, it shouldn't be about who wins. It should really be about like whether you guys are actually a strong connection or not. You know what I mean? And that also, just talking about that, shows between the boys and the girls how different they are, because so Jimmy and Trevor, they have their same connection, Chelsea, and they get along. They're friends. They're being nice to each other, and they even say like oh my God, like if it's not me, like you're the next best guy in here. Like I'm so glad happy it's you that she connected with. Like joking, whatever, whether that's true or not. Like they're friendly. But on the girls' side, they don't even want to talk to each other.
Yeah.
Jessica and Chelsea know that they both like Jimmy. And so they just like avoid each other. They don't want to talk to each other and everything.
I don't think I ever saw them speaking.
Yeah, I don't think I ever saw them speaking. But they obviously know what's happening because they hear from the other girls, or they overhear what's happening.
Yeah, or another girl that's friends maybe with both then tells one the other.
Yeah, exactly. So I just feel like that's also a little weird, because I'm like, I know that you're going for the same guy, but I feel like you guys can still be friendly. Like there's no reason for them to have any type of like anger towards each other.
Yeah, I mean, look at AD and Amber. They both like Matt.
That's right, yeah.
And they talked, and even though Matt, weird as he is, he ended up saying the same thing to both of them, which made Amber decided to leave.
Yeah.
And Matt was like, I'm going after her.
Yeah.
So Amber and Matt actually left the show.
Yeah, that was crazy actually, because I feel like that doesn't really happen that much. Like I know last season, somebody left too, which is Aaliyah, I think is her name. She ended up leaving because, which I don't blame her. That was a crazy situation.
That was another crazy situation.
But yeah, in this case, Amber left because Matt, which is like Matt was saying the exact same thing. So he seemed so soft. He seemed so nice with AD. And I really thought I was like, okay, he is nice underneath all that, roughness. But then the same things he was telling AD, he told Amber. That's also another red flag. I'm like, is this guy like okay?
I don't know. But then we go into talking about another couple.
Yeah.
Clay
Yes, Clay
with
and
AD. Because AD had 2 matches, so it was Matthew and Clay.
Yeah.
And so, Matthew left, so she started to pursue Clay a little more.
Yeah.
And, he did have his red flags too, because he's funny.
Yeah.
But he got really aggressive at one point. He got angry and he starts like walking around, and she didn't like that. She didn't like how he reacted. She didn't like all that stuff. And so you also see that play out, which they end up staying together.
Yeah, they end up like choosing each other, and he ends up proposing and everything. And they end up staying together. And I wonder what would have happened if Matt stuck around, because she was really kind of like falling for Matt.
Yeah, she was.
But I was honestly a little scared for her, because I'm like, okay, now he's nice with you. Before we knew the whole thing with Amber, that he was apparently saying the same thing to both girls. But I was like, Matt is weird. So I'm like, even though he's warmed up to you now and is being nicer, I didn't want her to pick him. So I'm kind of happy like he left, so she didn't end up picking him. Yeah. But I wonder what would have happened.
I think it would have happened the same thing that happened to the other girl last season. Remember, I think it was JP and Taylor.
Yes.
He was just off in the pods a little bit, but she still liked him.
Yeah.
They get to see each other in real life, and it's just so awkward and weird. And he's like, "Don't wear makeup."
Yeah, and he just didn't. He didn't like her.
Yeah. I thought something like that would happen again.
That probably would have happened. Yeah, and she starts to pursue Clay more. And honestly, Clay was kind of like one of my favorites. I really liked him. But then when they were in the pods, he had one time where he, started to act a little bit like, kind of, I guess, like, I don't know. He really wanted to know what she looked like. And he started getting kind of like a little bit of an attitude. Like, he was like, I will not propose to anybody if I don't know what they look like. So you need to tell me what you look like. He's like, there's certain things that I need to know. That's when I liked Clay so much. And I was like, no, I'm like, Clay, what's happening? I'm like, he's
Clay,
showing this other side.
That's one thing that I don't like about Clay.
Yeah.
And for me, that's the red flag, is how much I feel like he wanted to know about her looks and everything, because he said it. He's like, looks are very important to me.
Yeah, he
said that. So I was actually worried. I'm like, wow, if looks are so important to him, like,
what if he doesn't like her?
What if he doesn't like her? Mm-hmm. Because we don't know what his typical person is. We have no idea.
He didn't share like what his type was or anything. So,
but he obviously has an idea in his mind of someone that he likes.
Yeah.
So was she gonna live up to his standards?
Yeah, exactly.
Who knows?
Yeah, and he got kind of like, she was like, no, well, I'm not gonna tell you because that's not, which I'm happy she didn't say it, because I thought for a second she was gonna say it, and I'm happy she didn't, because she was like, well, that's not the point of this like experience, and that's true, because I understand that looks are important to him. I get it. I feel like looks are important to a lot of people. That's why they're doing this experiment, to show like, is it possible without the looks? But that's not why you're on the show. So like, even if you looks are that big for you, then you shouldn't have been on the show, because you're not supposed to know what they look like.
Exactly.
And if you're asking them all these details, then you're gonna start to imagine what they look like and everything. So I'm so happy she didn't say it.
Yeah.
And he ended up even apologizing after.
Yeah.
Which those are the times that then I like him. I'm like, okay, because he's like, he kind of goes out and like says these like wild things, but then he recognizes his faults. So that's the parts that I like about Clay.
That's like, for me, Clay is, sometimes I like him, sometimes I see a red flag and then I'm like, well, he's nice. And I see another red flag, I'm like, but he's nice. But overall, there's something about Clay that doesn't sit well with me.
Yeah.
Something about him.
He keeps us guessing. Like, I keep switching. I'm like, Clay, why are you saying that? But then I like him, and then there's some things about him that I feel like are like, he's like sweet, because then when he meets AD, which I know I'm kind of like jumping ahead, but when he meets her, and this is just something so small, but like, he kind of like walks her back to her door.
Yeah.
And I feel like those little touches, like, I feel like that's like so sweet.
Yeah.
But then I don't know. He's just like,
it's just wild.
Yeah.
He does many things, but we have to see further on in the stuff. We have to see further on to see
get
what
to know him more.
Yeah.
And before we get into like them actually meeting each other and everything, one other thing that I wanted to say is like from the love triangle, because like Jimmy, Jessica, and Chelsea, they're like a love triangle, right? Which Jimmy ends up picking Chelsea. But also on the other side, there's that other love triangle, which is Jimmy, Trevor, and Chelsea, because both Jimmy and Trevor like Chelsea, and she never really, in the pods, I didn't notice that she liked one more than the other. Like, I thought that Trevor was a better match for her, but I didn't see her like, well, I guess she kind of did favor Trevor, honestly, now that I think about it. She kind of favored Trevor, but she didn't say anything really like determining for that. And anyway, so when it comes down to the engagements, both Jimmy and Trevor are ready to propose to her.
Yeah.
They both have a ring. They both want to propose to her. and she's kind of like, you know, they're both in a room, in separate rooms, and she has to like kind of pick which door she's gonna go through first, and she doesn't know who's behind that door, so
We're guessing she doesn't know.
We're guessing she doesn't know. Yeah, at least that's what we think. And so she first goes into Jimmy's room. Jimmy proposes, and she says yes, but I feel like she's not sure.
I felt like she wasn't sure.
I feel like she wasn't sure, and I'm like, and
I felt like Jimmy wasn't sure.
Yeah, I feel like Jimmy wasn't sure either, but that's a part where I think sometimes it comes down to they want to make it to like the next round. So I feel like he kind of just wanted to have a couple, like have a person, so he can move on to like the next round. That's kind of how I felt it. And I'm getting that vibe from a lot of these people actually.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I got that too.
Yeah,
from
like,
a lot of them.
Jessica too. I thought she really when she
that.
said like that whole thing that you were mentioning earlier about like you ruined this experience for me. I feel like she also I know what she meant, like as in, you know, he kind of ruined it for her because she dedicated all her time to him rather than multiple people, which that's her fault, honestly. She should have been dating multiple people, and she should have been upfront about her child so then she can know which ones to pursue more.
Exactly.
But then the second part, I feel like when she said about the experience, I thought she was also saying like, I kind of felt it like she was like, oh, like you got in the way between me and like getting to the next stage, which is like getting engaged.
Or like people are saying, going on a vacation.
Going on a vacation, that's true, because they went to the Dominican Republic. But yeah, so anyways, talking about Chelsea and like that engagement, I just felt like she was so distraught. Like when he proposed, she was crying and everything, and then she had to go in and talk to Trevor and let Trevor know that she's now engaged to Jimmy, and her and Trevor can no longer, you know, be together anymore. And I just felt like even her letting him down, like she felt so bad to let him down and everything.
She
and
did.
Like,
and even what Trevor said, you know, she's like, Trevor said to her, what if I would have gone first? Would you have said yes to me? And she stays quiet.
She doesn't answer, yeah.
And that's an obvious answer. The answer is yes.
Yeah.
She would have said yes to him.
She was prepared to say yes to like anybody who proposed
really.
first. And that's what shows to me that like I feel like she doesn't really like either of them enough, because if you really like somebody, like you shouldn't be torn between two people. One should always kind of stick out to you if there's really that type of connection, like for a marriage. I don't believe that you can love two people at the same time the same amount. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there has to be one that you are more attracted to, you know, because she can't see them yet, so attracted to their just what they've been telling you, their stuff, their vibe, their story, their how they think, all that stuff. And
you know, and that's even what Trevor says, which that I felt so bad when he said that, because I'm like, oh my God. He's like, how are you going to pick someone that never had you as their number one?
Yeah. And I was like, when he said that, I was like, oh my God, he's
like,
so right.
I always had you as my number one. He's like, I was never between two people. I always knew it was you.
Yeah.
He's like, how could you pick that?
Yeah.
How can you pick someone that never was sure of you and waited for the last minute? So I was like, wow. Like, I love Trevor.
Yeah, me too. I love Trevor so much. I think like he's my favorite. Clay was kind of like my favorite, but he has his ups and downs. But Trevor, I think, is my favorite. He's so sweet.
He's so sweet.
He's so nice.
Very
and
nice.
I really felt so bad when Chelsea didn't decide to pursue things with him. But also I'm like, maybe that's the best for him, because maybe she, like, I don't think she's the right one for him, because otherwise she would have known that he's the one.
Exactly. So I feel here, Jimmy made the wrong choice in picking Chelsea.
Yeah.
Chelsea made the wrong choice in picking Jimmy. She should have picked Trevor.
Yeah, exactly.
And Jimmy should have gone home.
AD and Clay, I actually do like them, but I don't know if, according to what AD has said, because she did say that he kind of is like all her exes that she's dated, that it hasn't worked out. So I'm like, is that like foreshadowing for it's not going to work out
And
again?
I think AD is not sure at all of Clay.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't think she likes him that much, to be honest.
Yeah. I thought she did, but we'll see. But I thought she did, but so it's AD and Clay. They end up being a match. Jimmy and Chelsea, which, like we say, I don't think they're that good of a match. Other couples that we haven't even talked about much because they don't have much drama going on, but Kenneth and Brittany. Which Kenneth, I can't believe he's only 25.
And he's a middle school principal.
He looks so much older, and it's not a bad thing. It's just how I guess he's just like an old soul. He even acts and everything as if he were like
a principal.
He acts like a principal. Like I would even say mid-40s, but like, you know, that he's only 25. He's so young.
He's so young, but he has
very
like
mature.
He's very mature, which I think that's what Brittany likes about him.
Yeah.
That he's so mature. He thinks differently.
Yeah, he's
not
nice
playing
too.
around. He's very nice.
He's very nice.
So is Brittany. She seems very nice.
Yeah, Brittany's super nice too. So they seem like a strong couple to me.
They do. Yeah.
Brittany and Kenneth. Then we have
Laura and Jeremy.
Yeah, that's right. Laura and Jeremy. I have my little notes so I can remember. Lauren, Jeremy, AD and Clay, Kenneth and Brittany, Chelsea and Jimmy, like I said, and then Amy and Johnny.
Amy and Johnny, yeah.
Which they also seem like a strong connection to me. There's not much
For now.
drama. Yes, there's not much drama around them. They seem like they really like each other.
And
so
I feel like let's wait until they get into the real world.
yeah, that's what we need to know now, because this is all, it can all be
In
rainbows
paradise.
and butterflies.
They're in
Yeah.
paradise right now.
Yeah. And yeah, right now, so they go to the Dominican Republic. But before we even get to that, let's talk about the first impressions a little bit.
Yes,
Well, the
let's
ones
talk
that
about
stuck
that.
out to us, at least.
Okay.
Jimmy and Chelsea. Because remember, Chelsea's the one who says that she looks like Megan Fox.
Yeah. And as soon as they open the doors, Chelsea goes running towards Jimmy.
Yeah.
And Jimmy's just like literally like that. He's just like,
Yeah. He's like
he
in
was
shock.
kind of in shock. And in his side interview,
Yes, that's what I noticed. I'm like, he just had to say it, didn't
He
he?
couldn't hold it in. He couldn't hold it in. He felt so bamboozled.
Yeah, and which proves what we all think. Like in his side interview, he was like, "She lied to me. Does not look like Megan Fox." And like, of course, we all knew that he got hung up on that, and that just
Yeah.
proves it right there that he did get hung up on it, because that's the first thing that he noticed, that she doesn't look like Megan Fox. And then that just goes into a whole thing of like, she is in the pods. She didn't seem this way to me. Like she seemed
Yeah.
very, normal.
Very nice, like kind of like a bubbly, because she was always laughing at his jokes,
Yeah.
always smiling. He can't see the smiling, but
Yeah.
you can sense, the happiness, the
Right.
giddiness, the...
Yeah. And she seemed like, confident, like a
Yeah.
normal type of confidence. Like we all should be confident about ourselves. But then the second they meet, she's like, which everybody asks this, like, "Oh, do you like how I look?" Because, that's what they're revealing, their looks.
Their looks.
So like, it's normal to talk about that. But she just will not stop. Like, "But do you still like me as much
gosh.
as you like me in the pods?" Like, it just starts from the second they meet. She asks, I can't even count how many times she asks him, like, "But are you sure you like me? But are you sure you like the way I look? But do you like this?
Are
Do
you
like that?"
happy with how I look?
Yeah.
Do you like, I think she's even like, do you like how the dress looks on me?
Yeah.
Do you like
And
this?
he's like,
do you
"Yeah,
like
you
that?
look great." He's like, and he's, she doesn't look like Megan Fox, but he's still okay with it. He's like, "You look
Yeah.
beautiful." He's like, he's complimenting her. He's still being nice. And, and I just feel like she's so like obsessed with that. And
She's very obsessed with that.
it makes her seem like she's so insecure
Yeah.
about her looks, which she shouldn't be. You
Is
should always be proud.
Yeah. She has so many nice qualities about her that she
Yeah.
showed in the pods, and I wish she would just open up those qualities even more.
Yeah. And just be confident in herself, and just know that, like, because I feel like she's like feels like she doesn't bring enough to the table. Like, you should be confident in everything. She is a nice person.
Yeah.
She has always been very nothing but nice to everybody there. We didn't see
Yeah.
her show any bad traits. So like, just
mean,
be confident in yourself.
She's truthful because she said
Yeah.
about her previous, divorce and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I just feel like she got hung up on the looks. And
Yeah.
and this is the truth, he's not all that, he's
Yeah.
not.
I mean, in our opinions, like maybe in her, I don't know, but yeah, I feel like she's just so self-conscious about her looks, and I feel like he's not saying those same things. He's not like, "But what about me? Do you like how I look?" I think he might say it once, which is like normal again, but like, she's just so hung up in like, that was their meetup. So it was like,
Yeah.
it was good, but you could quickly see Chelsea changes.
And
lot.
you can see immediately Jimmy.
Yeah.
Completely just like, she doesn't look like Megan Fox.
Yeah, because he really had that in his head.
And she said that he was done. That was it.
Yeah.
That was it. I feel like the other couples had pretty positive like meetups, I
Yeah.
guess you can say. Another one for me that was a little off. I don't know if you see it. Tell me if you see it. Was AD and Clay.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. There was a lot of suspense around that, because I'm like, since he says physical is so important for him, I'm like, is he gonna like her?
And I felt that he did like her, but
Yeah.
I feel that she doesn't like him.
Really?
I see it. I feel like she's just like, I feel like she just wanted to get to the next level.
You think so?
That's what I think. That she was just
Yeah.
like, what the heck, who cares? Like,
Let me just give it a try.
let me just give it a try. I'm not losing anything.
Yeah.
If anything, I'll gain a husband. I'm not going to lose
Right.
anything else, right?
Yeah.
These are all single people. So
Yeah.
she's like, why not get some more screen time? This is my opinions, right?
Right.
Because I don't see her. She wasn't that interested in him.
Yeah.
From the get-go. She wasn't. She liked Matthew.
Yeah.
And so now when she sees him, she's okay. She's not overwhelmed or anything. I felt like she was just like, oh, hey, like,
Yeah.
just not so excited like these other couples.
Yeah. And that's something that was surprising for me too. I was surprised how much Clay liked her, and which is a good surprise. I was like, oh my god, I'm he seems like he really, really likes her. Like, he's so happy with his choice. Like, he likes her from the inside, and he likes the outside too. So it's just like, it seems like so great. And yeah, I thought it would be opposite. I thought she would be more like excited about how he looks and everything. And him, I didn't know how he would react because I was honestly, like I said, I just knew looks were very important for him, and I wasn't sure what his like type is. So I was like, I was a little bit like on edge. I'm like, is he gonna like AD or not? But I thought it would be like roles reversed. Like he'd be more like chill and be like, oh yeah, like, but and she would be like kind of like, you know, obsessed with him or whatever. But no, it's like the opposite. Like he really really likes her.
Yeah.
And she's the one that's more chill about it and everything.
Yeah.
So we'll see it play out more, but those are like really the first impressions. Like my sister said, everything else, they were, you know, good impressions. There was nothing that stood out. But now going into them actually being together, like, you know, quote unquote living together, because they're going on vacation. They're taking them to this, you know, they go to the Dominican Republic where they're with their couples, they're staying together.
Yes.
And then they end up meeting the other couples too.
Yes. And that's when things start to kind of, you know, things start to happen.
Right.
Of course, we have, you know, Chelsea and Jimmy. The whole time that they're there, this poor girl is so obsessed with like, do you like me? Do you still like me? What is one thing that you noticed about me? They're laying in the bed and she's like, what did you notice about me? And he's like, your big teeth.
Yeah. Oh
your
my
big
God.
white teeth. I'm just like, what is this man saying?
And she's like, oh, I liked your eyes. And I'm like, yeah, can't he say something normal? Like,
why did he choose the teeth? I know some people do like teeth though. Some people they do like teeth, but why do you have to say your big white teeth?
yeah, why do you have to say it like that? That just didn't sound right. And like, you know, people can compliment, like you're saying, teeth. I've heard of other people too who they're like, I love, like the first thing I noticed on somebody is their teeth. But why can't you say I noticed your, just like that, I noticed your teeth, or I noticed your white teeth. Why he had to go and add big white teeth? He's like, and he even adds that he's like, and that's not a negative thing. He's like, it's good to have big teeth or something.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
like,
What?
He just is like digging himself into a hole. It's not sounding good. It's like, let it go, man.
And he didn't let it go. He kept saying things. He didn't say a nice comment. He didn't say like, I like she wanted, you know, I like your lips, or I like your eyes, or your nose, or
your hair.
She wanted something more physical than her teeth.
Yeah.
That's the answer that she wanted.
And she's just the whole time, like you're saying, like asking him, he'll bring up anything, like, oh, like when we were in the pods, she's like, but do you still feel the same way that you felt in the pods? She's like, and he's like, yeah. And she's like, but however you felt about me in the pods, do you still feel about me the same way now that you met me, whatever? So she's just so insecure, and she reveals like somewhere along the lines that she was cheated on a lot in previous relationships, and I feel like that explains so much. When she said that, I was like, okay, that explains why she's so insecure. But honestly, she shouldn't be.
Also, another thing that she says that goes into her like insecurities, I feel like, is she revealed somewhere, like you said, along the way when they're there in the Dominican Republic. Mm-hmm. She's like, I was really nervous to put on a bathing suit, to put on a bikini. She's like, because, you know, she's just insecure about her body.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that just goes to show she is insecure, and that's why she's asking so much reassurance from him, which I feel like it's so sad, especially because it's on TV. Mm-hmm. That's what I don't like, that, you know, a woman has to, because to appeal to him.
Yeah. It
Why?
seems so wrong. It just feels so wrong that she's like, you know, like doesn't feel good enough for him.
Who is he?
Yeah. And it's nothing against him.
Not
but it's
against
just like,
him.
Just
any man.
Any man, exactly. I'm like, why is she, and a lot of women too, so concerned about how a man perceives you? You should never care. You should never care about that. You should just be yourself, and you know that you'll attract somebody who's attracted to you. Like, you don't have to be this certain thing or whatever. And I feel like that's what she's like trying to figure out what he likes. I feel like to be that,
to mold herself. To that's not. And be true to yourself.
Be true to yourself. Be confident in yourself. And like, I know she was cheated on a lot, so she has like that previous trauma. But girl, that is not a reflection of you. That's a reflection of them. So she shouldn't bring that on herself and be self-conscious now. She should just be like, damn, those people were dumb as hell. Those people are like, you know, have a flaw in their, you know,
obviously their character, their morals, their values,
right,
that they did that, because nobody, you know, people that have morals and values don't do that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
So her being so insecure, especially, you know, expressing it so much to him, I don't like that, because I feel like it's putting herself down. Right. She's putting herself down. And I see her as a nice person. I don't like those qualities that she has, but I don't think that she's a bad person because of that.
Yeah.
I just wish she would just like be like, no, I'm enough.
Exactly. And period. And stop questioning herself or nothing like that. And like, she's worried about what she looks like in a bikini. Okay, I know a lot of people are, but girl, who cares? Rock that bikini. Doesn't matter how you look like. Don't worry about it. But she's very concerned about that. And it hasn't happened yet, but I foresee it getting annoying to him, because just from me watching, it got annoying to me.
It got annoying. It did.
It got annoying to me already. I was like, girl, stop. Like, stop with all these freaking questions. Every scene, she's asking him, do you still like me? Do you like how I look? Like, needing all this validation which is just annoying.
It is annoying. It's annoying because, you know, that's something, this is just the truth. You know, if she has that past trauma and all that stuff, she needs to go to therapy.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I'm like, she needs to be in therapy.
She needs just to get that stuff out and help her think in a more positive way.
Yeah, and work through it and just realize that, like, you know, the way that she looked is not the reason why she got cheated on. Like, those people have their reasons, and that's
their reasons are because nothing to do with her body.
She never was with a respectable person. That's what happened.
That's the reason, exactly.
But, yeah, so that's them. And then also, we just going to, you know, continuing with them. Mm-hmm. That's when they're on their own. Then they, you know, because up to this point, they're kind of like in a different world, because they're like just in this world of them two together, which is not the real world. In the real world, you're around other people, your friends, family, etc. Right? And we're gonna get into their family later. Those are in coming episodes. Hasn't been done yet, filmed yet. But when they meet each other, all the couples meet each other, and, you know, kind of just jumping ahead a little bit, but Jimmy makes a comment about AD's body. He meets AD for the very first time. And he just makes a comment about her body, which I think is so inappropriate.
So inappropriate. And literally, it's like, boom. This is why she's so insecure.
Exactly. And it's like, and she's already showing her insecurities before this. Mm-hmm.
Instantly.
Yeah.
Instantly, when he makes that comment.
She, like, shuts down.
She shuts down. She pretends she's like, hey, AD. She starts saying things like, he's talking about your body. And she's like, well, you know, I work out and I pray to Jesus.
Yeah, because also she puts AD in a difficult situation. Because
it's awkward.
It was so awkward because I don't know what Chelsea was thinking, because I feel like Jimmy just tells her, and I feel like she doesn't even react. She's just immediately like, AD, he just said this about you. And AD is just like, I think she gives the most normal response she can, because she's like, yeah, I work out and, you know, I pray to God, and like,
yeah,
that's how I got a good body, whatever. And so then Jimmy goes and starts talking to AD. And according to Chelsea, she says that he spinned her around, but he didn't. I saw it again and everything. And like,
unless they cut it out, but we didn't see that.
Yeah, we didn't see a spin, but it is awkward, because
it's awkward.
I feel like Chelsea just made that situation happen, because if he would have said that comment and she didn't feel comfortable about it, she should have just said it in that moment.
That's inappropriate. I would have just said it like that.
Like, don't say that. Or she could even just been like, gave him a look, or just be like, don't say that, and then talk about it more later at night if she didn't want to address it right then and there, because they're, you know, at a like a party basically.
Right.
But by her saying that, like, hey AD, this is what he said about you, I feel like she opened the door for, maybe in his mind he's like, okay, maybe it's okay for me to like say this. And you need to set your boundaries. Yeah. For some people in relationships, they don't mind if their spouse or whatever like talks about other women or men's bodies in front of them. But for some people, you don't like that. You find that disrespectful. So if she is one of those people that finds it disrespectful, she should have set that boundary right then and there and been instantly like, you know what? I don't like that. Don't say those things. I don't like that.
Yeah.
You make me feel uncomfortable. I don't like that stuff. But instead, she kind of opens it up to be like a joking thing. He goes over and talks to AD while Jimmy's talking to AD, which I also did notice he like completely left her out. He didn't like bring Chelsea with him, and she's just left there by the bar, and
she's like, I'm about to throw up.
Yeah, she's like, I'm about to throw up. She's a big crier too, so she's like about to cry. She is just a mess.
I wonder what her sign is.
Yeah, I was like, I'm wondering if she's a Cancer. It's like, she's so emotional. Thinking, yeah. But we'll see that later. But yeah, so that happens with them, and it really just ruins the rest of her night. And up until what we saw, all the other, you know, episodes and everything, she is just
it ruins her night. It ruins her
unhappy.
whole. Yeah, she's unhappy. She's very unhappy. She's just completely like deflated, kind of thing. She's just like, that was it for her.
Yeah, it's like, and she tells him later on, like she's crying and everything later on that night when they go back to the room. She tells him later on that makes her feel very uncomfortable and everything, and like.
But even that was kind of interesting, that whole conversation that they had together, because she's like, there, honestly was whining, whining there, and she's like, you made me feel uncomfy, like, I don't know, just.
Yeah, the way it's like childish. She acts very childish. I'm glad she said at the end that made her feel uncomfortable, but I feel like she should have said that from the beginning, let him know that from the beginning, because to his defense, like, I guess he should know that that's not appropriate, but I guess he thought that was cool with her.
Yeah, I mean, and this is another thing that I want to touch on, that, on the whole conversation with Jimmy and AD.
Yeah.
I personally felt like AD was flirting with Jimmy.
Yeah, once they started talking together.
I feel like AD likes Jimmy. That's my take.
Really?
I truly believe that Jimmy and AD like each other. He found her attractive. She found him attractive.
And we'll see.
That's my feeling.
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't get that feeling 100%, but I did feel like they talked a little too long. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like, I don't know from AD's side. Maybe AD did like him too, but I feel like Jimmy did kind of like AD.
Yeah.
I feel like he was attracted to her.
Yeah, it felt like a flirtatious conversation.
Yeah, exactly. And so, all that did not make Chelsea feel good at all.
No.
And then within the same there with those couples, like
Laura and Jeremy.
Yeah.
Jeremy, the boys are there talking.
Yeah.
And Jeremy says that Laura told him to do a bean dip or whatever. We're not going to explain what the bean dip is because if you watch the episode, then you know what it is. They literally say exactly what it is. So
yeah.
Then, Laura gets upset. So all that,
it's like a joke that I guess Laura told Jeremy, which I also think that joke is not even a good joke. And like AD was saying, she's like, that was a joke between the girls. So then Laura brought it now to the boy side by telling her fiance, and her fiance Jeremy tells the boys, and it's very weird. It's very uncomfortable because.
And what if he would have done it?
I don't think he says he wouldn't have, and I believe him. He wouldn't have done it because he knew it was a joke.
You don't know.
It's just it wasn't a good joke at all.
It was not a good joke. It's so inappropriate. If he would have done that, that would have been really bad.
No, that would have been horrible. That's why I don't think he would have ever done that because that's like, yeah, that would have been horrible because that's almost like a form of assault.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that would have been really bad. But what it did make is it made things really awkward and weird. And especially between Laura and Jeremy, which I thought they were such a great couple, by the way. When they met and everything, I thought they were like, they both liked each other equally as much. Like, it was like everything was good. But then you see a little tension, and that's where the show actually ends. Like, the episode ends, and we, new ones are coming out later today. But Jeremy and Laura kind of, they're showing us that they kind of get into a little fight about it.
They do.
And they're like, which I think is also maybe a little much for the situation.
I think, tensions are high here because, they're not talking to anybody else except for now they're talking to other people, but they were just between them. And then, they can't socialize with the rest of the world. So I feel like a lot of emotions are really, really like up there.
Yeah.
And so any little thing is going to cause something.
Yeah.
And, I also, the impact of alcohol.
Yeah,
also
we don't know how much they're drinking there. We know they always have a drink in their hand.
Exactly. They always have a drink in their hand. So, but, Clay just said that he was like okay with what happened.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Not with what happened, but he wasn't upset.
Joke. Yeah, he wasn't upset with the joke. It's a disrespectful joke. It's a very disrespectful joke. For AD, it's very disrespectful for her. And then I guess Clay, because he's her partner now, right? So it's like, but it's really disrespectful to AD is really what it is.
And you also see a little bit of tension between the girls, between Laura and AD. She's like, well, it was nothing for you, but it is something. I don't know if she said for me or for Clay or something like that.
Yeah, I guess for them in like their relationship, because it made things weird because it was a joke between the girls. So I understand AD. She's just like, why did you tell him? Why did you tell your like fiance? You should have never told him. It was just a joke between the girls. And by Jeremy, which he admitted it was a joke and he admitted he probably shouldn't have said it and everything, but like, by him saying that to AD, like offending her, you kind of now bring in her spouse. That's why she was saying like me and Clay, because now if she's offended, then does Clay have to now defend her?
Exactly.
Because from this bad joke. But luckily Clay handled it very well. He was just like, I know it was a joke, like don't worry about it, like blah blah. And
which I like that about Clay because I was like, oh my gosh, based on what I saw in the pods, I'm like, he's gonna pop off,
Yeah, no, but Clay, that's what I'm saying.
Clay has nice moments.
He has nice moments. He's mostly nice. He has his little bad moments though. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Because talking about Clay, we have to talk about that.
Oh my god, that made me laugh out loud. But
and so I'm like, is he joking or is he not? Because, so there was a moment between Clay and AD when they're talking about like, I guess they're talking about like in the gym, physical appearance. They're talking about being in the gym and like, working on your body. And I guess it's very important to both of them. AD, she's a professional dancer. I think she said she's a cheerleader for sports teams.
So she works out a lot. She
works out a lot. Exactly. And then Clay, he seems to keep up with his physique too, because he is in good shape too. Mm-hmm. So they both care about the gym. And basically he was telling her like, they started talking about calories.
Yeah, and she was like, what are you going to do if I'm like pregnant?
Yeah, she's like, one day she's like, we're going to have kids. She's like, I'm going to have a belly. I'm going to, she's like, she's going to get bigger. That's what she was insinuating. When you have kids, which, hello, you have to get bigger when you're growing a human. And he's like, no, he's like, when you're pregnant, he's like, we're going to be in the gym every day. And she's like, but what if I don't want to go to the gym? And he's like, well, I'm going to make sure you go to the gym.
She's like, but okay. She's like, but what if I start gaining weight? She's like, what are you going to say then? He's going to be like, I'm going to say, get your
butt in the gym.
Yeah, get your butt in the gym. And she's like, no, you're not. She's like, you're not going to say it like that. He's like, yes, I am. He's like, that's going to motivate you.
Yeah.
He's like, if I say that to you, that's going to motivate you.
Yeah, that's what he was saying. And I'm like, and it's funny, but I'm like, he hasn't, whether they edited it out or not, but he didn't like ever say he's joking. And it's just like, Clay, you can't say that.
And that's what she said. She's like, you can't say that. She's like, and not like that.
Yeah.
She takes his stuff so nice.
Yeah.
Which I really like that about her. She's very calm.
Yeah.
She really tries to understand where he's coming from.
She doesn't get offended.
No.
By what he's saying. And I feel like that's why I think they're a good couple, because I feel like she kind of molds him. So like he's like a little bit rough around the edges, right?
Yeah.
So like he says these things that are like not correct. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she's like, no, you can't say that.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's receptive to it.
He is.
He's like, oh, okay, I didn't like. But this one he wasn't letting go. He was like, he's like, no. He's like, that's gonna motivate you. Like basically, she's like, no. She's like, that's rude. She's like, that's not nice. Like, she's like, that's mean. But I feel like maybe not in that scene they didn't show us, but I think like later, because that's how he's been in the past, where he's like, he's receptive to it and then he changes.
Yeah.
So, but that was just funny when he said that. I was like, no, Clay.
That is so. Clay has something. I don't know. That's why I said something about him. I don't know what it is. I'm not sure if I like him too much or not. And with AD, that's my feeling. I don't know if she really is that into him.
Yeah, you don't know if he's like they're gonna end up actually getting married, because they have the choice at the end, like when
I
they
don't
go to the
think
altar,
so.
whether they say I do or not.
Yeah.
So you're feeling
right
like
now
no.
I'm saying no.
I don't know about them. I feel like I have to see more, but I feel like they're a good match. But let's just see if that's how they feel. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
I feel like I don't know, just based on how some of the stuff, I don't know. I want to see once they're living together. I want to see that. I want to see how he acts and his personality. That's what I want to see more before I make my final choice on Clay.
Yeah, no, we need to see more. We need to see more, because they're gonna meet their families and everything coming up, and like that also, you start seeing more about their themselves. Like they show more about their life and everything, their story, and just even when they start living together, things change a lot from the other previous seasons. What we've seen, things change a lot.
Because they have to go to work and real life. It's just real life.
It's like going back to real life. They're not anymore on this like honeymoon or whatever, and they have to incorporate each other into their lives.
Yeah.
And that's when things get a little tricky.
And talking about that, let's go into basically the preview for next week's episodes that are coming out.
Yeah, and the previews for like the rest of what's to come in the season are actually crazy. We'll see, because the previews, we know they're edited, so you don't know exactly like, we know those things are going to happen, but you don't know how it's going to be, because sometimes they show like shocked faces and you don't know what they're shocked about and all that stuff. So you just start,
and they put a face sometimes before they say something, so you're like, oh my god, did he do this with this person, or are they talking about that person?
Yeah.
They kind of play with you a little bit.
They play with you a little bit, so you don't know exactly what's to come, but we know that it's going to be something crazy, because whatever's about to happen, if it's how we think it's going to happen because of the previews, that this will be more explosive than like any of the other seasons.
Yeah.
I think. One of the things that they show is like the meeting of everybody, everybody who was in the pod. So all like the crew, I guess you can say.
So the main cast plus the other people that were there, the other however many, because it's 15 guys and 15 girls.
Exactly. So this includes their other connections.
Yes.
So for example, in Jimmy's case, Jessica's going to come around. He's going to meet Jessica for the first time.
Chelsea's going to meet Trevor. I wonder if Matthew and Amber are going to be there, the ones that left.
Yeah, they didn't show that, but I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, is Matt going to come around? Amber? I don't know, because they could still come, I guess. Like, they decided to leave the experiment. I don't know how that works. You see all that stuff happening, and something like, there's like, some allegations, I guess you could say. We don't know what happens yet, but is it Chelsea that's screaming?
Chelsea is yelling. We see that she's yelling at Jimmy. She's like, you hooked up with someone else.
Yeah.
She's like, I know it. I know that you hooked up with someone else.
And that leaves us to our imagination. We're thinking about Jessica. Could be somebody else.
Now, you know what it just came to my mind?
Who? AD?
AD.
No.
Yes.
You think
It
so?
just came to my mind right now. Well, because I think that they liked each other. That's why I say that.
Well, we'll see. We don't know, because we're just, all we hear her say is, I know that you hooked up with her. So her? Who is her? We don't know.
But right before that, they show that they all met. So it's obviously, or could it be an ex? We don't know. We have no idea
what it is, but they're leaving it up to our speculation for now. And we're thinking, the way they edit it is they make it seem like it's Jessica, because that previous scene to that, they show Jessica walking into like this pool party. It looks like they're having, and Jimmy like looks at Jessica, supposedly, according to the edits. So we'll see what happens, but that is really crazy, because whoever it is, if she's accusing him of hooking up with somebody, that's wild. That's crazy, because that would be like the first time, I think, that in Love is Blind that we know.
Love is Blind history.
Yeah, Love is Blind history, that somebody cheats on somebody else like during the show, during the filming of it.
Yeah.
That would be crazy. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm so, eager to see that.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see that.
And then, of course, Laura and Jeremy are on rocky terms.
Yeah.
It ends on rocky terms. And then you see it gets worse.
Yeah.
Because once they meet the people, you know, the other members of Love is Blind, she is there telling him, so you were up until 5 a.m. talking to, I forgot the name.
I think like Sarah Ann.
Yeah. So you were talking until 5 a.m.? He's like, yeah.
And that was his other connection. So when he was dating Laura, he was in between Laura and this girl, Sarah Ann.
Yep.
For up until the very end. He also picked like very last minute. So that's also like kind of crazy because where episode 6 ended is that Jeremy's like, I want to go home. And she like to Laura, and Laura's like, home as in the room or home? And he's like, home. So it's like, what, you're already like that fed up? Like, it was just a little bit weird. So like my sister says, things looked rocky at the end of episode 6, and they look like they're gonna be even rockier coming up. So that is something else that was like kind of like crazy in the preview. And then Chelsea meeting Trevor.
Yes, do you see them talking, interacting?
I'm excited to see that because I'm just like, is she second guessing her choice and everything?
I think she will.
Now that she has met Jimmy and like seen a little bit how he acts, where Jimmy's really, I feel like Jimmy's not ready to settle down with anybody. That's the truth. That's the vibes that he gives me. He really is. He didn't say it, but he's really more attracted to the physical appearance. That's really what he's about right now.
Yeah, he is. And I personally, he's not one of the people that I like. I would prefer for Chelsea to stay alone than to go with Jimmy.
Yeah, exactly. Or I think Trevor would be a better person for her. She also mentioned somewhere along the lines that her ex-boyfriends were all like muscular men, whatever. And then Trevor's
extremely muscular.
So I'm like, is she gonna like that too when she sees him? Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. And so those are the things to look forward to.
I'm excited for it's gonna be 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Coming up, and so we're excited to come here also and speak about it and see how it all unravels little by little.
Yeah, because this is just the beginning. It was 6 episodes. It was a lot, but it was like, it's still just the beginning. We have the next part is like the best episodes because like we were saying, you get to see them interact with the other pod members, which that's my favorite part.
Yeah.
Like, when they get together, that's my favorite part, just to see how everybody, talking to their previous connections, all that. It's always drama filled. So I love that. Then meeting their families and everything, like that's all coming up. So I can't wait. And those episodes launch today.
Yeah.
So we're going to be watching them literally ASAP. And then next week we'll be back here with our next recap of episodes 7 through 9.
And we're excited.
Yeah.
So if you guys don't want to miss anything, please subscribe down below. Click the subscribe button. And we will see you all here in the next video.
Yeah, we'll see you guys next week. And if you have any predictions about the couples so far, anybody that you think is going to make it or not, let us know too, because I'm interested to know what you guys think.
I'm going to say Brittany and Kenneth. They're going to stay till the end. They're getting married.
Brittany and Kenneth, I think so too. And I think Amy and Johnny too.
Amy and Johnny.
Yeah.
Me too.
People that are not, so far they're like the strongest picks, I think. So yeah.
Okay, let us know what you guys think. Let us know what you guys think is going to happen with the accusations also.
Yeah, oh my god, I can't wait. I literally can't wait. I'm so happy that new episodes are launching today though. We have to watch it. So.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
All right guys, thank you again, and don't forget to subscribe.
And we'll see you guys next Wednesday.
Bye.
Bye.